Mr. Vidushekhar Jha, CFA, Country Head, India, for his opening remarks.
I'm not Vidushekhar Jha. I don't know where the Jha came from. I don't know whether you were in the party last night. You came down. There was a pre-wedding function going on. They had the stage here and Dula Dulan were here. There was the rock band playing at the back and the drinks being served outside. Much nicer setting than what we have today. So thank you anyway. So like Jitendra told you just now, there are over 300 members in the Delhi NCR region now. But the community is much bigger than that. Over and above these 300 members, we have more than 600 people who have passed the 3 levels of the CFA exam and are waiting for their 4 years experience to become members. And we have nearly 6,000 candidates. It's an astounding number, and this number has been growing and has grown very fast. We have about 40% odd growth rate in the new level 1 registrations. And many of these candidates are coming from centers like this. And so some of you are candidates, many of you are candidates here. And so it's high time that we thought that we should do events like this in Delhi. And it's a great initiative and it's a great job by the very committed members and volunteers in the Delhi team. Also supported by the leadership of CFA Society India, the national leadership of CFA Society India. You have 3 of the directors today here participating. We just saw Jitendra, 4, okay. So we have Sampath Reddy, who is on the panel, Anil Gilani, who is both a panelist and a moderator. You have Navneet Manod, and who's so 4. If I started with you, right? So 1/3 of the society board is here. So the society leadership is really supporting this initiative. Now to put this in comparison, I think we had 500 odd people in Mumbai when we did it, a much larger group. So I guess this competition I want to get closer. So hopefully next time we do the Financial Talent Summit, we'll do it in a larger venue with even more people. So having said that, I'll come back to my job, which is to introduce the context of this program today. And being from CFA Institute, the only way that I can start is by telling you the learning outcome statements. Does that sound fair to you? And we'll have a quiz afterwards when we finish everything. So we'll know where you stand. I was watching this documentary on this archer, Deepika Kumari. I'm sure many of you know about her. She's from a very poor family in Jharkhand and competed at the Olympics and did very well. Was world champion at a very young age. And in that documentary, she says it's called Ladies First. If you you should go and see it if possible. And she says that मेहनत तो सब लोग करते हैं, लेकिन मेहनत किस तरह से करनी है वो कोई नहीं बताता. Okay, so मेहनत तो सब लोग करते हैं. So all of you guys are working hard, have worked very hard in passing the exam and in getting your jobs and so on. मेहनत किस तरह करनी है? That is the learning outcome statement of this day's program, today's Financial Talent Summit. Okay. And let me also tell you that what we are doing here is level 1 reading 2. Okay, it's not reading 1. I'll tell you what reading 1 is. In the course which we call career management, right? So what you're going to see here is, Jitendra talked about it, the skill sets that you need, the structure of the industry, what's going on, what is the environment. So you are going to get a better understanding of the environment in which you have chosen to make a career. But there is something which comes before understanding the environment. What is that? Anybody? What comes before understanding the environment? Yeah?
Understanding yourself.
Understanding yourself, right? Easy. So level 1, reading 1 is understanding yourself, self-awareness, right? And self-awareness is also something which has to be done very systematically. And if you think that you haven't taken that step, then I would suggest that after you see what's going on in the industry, you have a lot of conversations with people who have been around, have made mistakes in the past, you go back and understand yourself. Now, what is understanding yourself? It involves understanding what your strengths are, what your talents are, and so on and so forth. And it also involves understanding what are your values. What is it that gets you ticking, right? What are the circumstances in which you feel good and you're the most productive? And it is not the same for everybody. If you remember in the 90s, when the software boom started, these large software companies, Infosys and TCS and so on, would go to engineering college campuses and recruit candidates by busloads. Very easy to get a software engineer's job, right? They would keep ramping up and ramping up and ramping up, and anybody who is in an engineering college can get a job as a software engineer. But what if your skill is not in software engineering? So many people felt frustrated by their jobs because their skills was in communication, was in sales, was in something else, dealing with people, solving problems, doing innovation, creativity, and so on. And then you are, given a particular role which is very narrowly focused and which requires you to be very systematic, and you don't excel. You're trying to teach a fish to climb a tree. And people failed, and people got frustrated, and there was a huge amount of frustration in that whole software industry. Same thing happens in the investment industry as well. There are many different types of jobs that are available in the investment industry. Be it securities analysts, performance managers, portfolio managers, consultants, teachers, wealth advisors, so on and so forth. You'll see some of those here. And you will also see what are the kind of skills that they need. And you have to have the self-awareness to know how to choose the particular job or career that will really get the best out of you. The second thing I said was about making sure that your values match the values of the organization in which you're going to work. Now, this is something that very few people give sufficient thought to. Also because it's so hard to get a job, and when somebody makes you an offer, you're not going to ask them what is your culture, what is this that you value, this, that, and so on. You're very happy. You go to your mom and say, "Mom, I got appointment letter," right? But even if you take a job because it was necessary for you to get a job and that's the only job that you're getting, you have to make sure that your values match with the values of the organization that you're doing. Now, we don't have time to get deeper into this, and there's a lot of stuff that you'll find on CFA Institute Career Resources Center, which helps you to systematically explore your own personality and understand what your values are, and also gives you some tools through which you can go out and find out what are the values that an institution is practicing. Okay? And I would recommend that you go through that process, and you will make friends today. You discuss with your friends and discuss with people who have been around, find mentors for yourself, and get on that journey. So this is level 1 reading 2, which is understanding the environment, right? Level 1 reading 1 is self-awareness, and then you have reading 3, 4, and 5, which involves other things. What are the things that you need to do? How do you do your networking? How do you do your professional development? How do you get out of problem situations? How do you create an impact on the people around you? What is called creating a client impact, whatever level you are at. And if once you have risen to a particular level, how do you create a leadership impact? So I would suggest that you use the day-to-day, not just to listen to the conversations that are going to happen on this stage and understand a little bit more about equity markets or fixed income markets or wealth management and so on and so forth, but also get a perspective on what this whole career management business is. Because nobody is going to look after you. We don't live in that era where you join a company and you retire from that company. The time of loyalty is long past. There was a time when you could assume that if you do your best, your company will look after you. Right now, companies cannot and won't, because the companies themselves are living in an environment of uncertainty and volatility. The only thing a company can do you is to look after your employability, right? And the responsibility to make sure that you are employable, you continue to be employable, is squarely on you. So what you're going to do today in the Financial Talent Summit is to change the way in which you have looked at yourself, change the way in which you look at your potential employers or your current employers, change the way in which you chart your career and take more control and manage that career, and to understand what are the resources that are available to you, both in the form of CFA Institute resources, career center resources, and also in the form of the mentors, the friends, the work associates that you will have in this absolutely fantastic community. You will get something out of coming here today. And when you go and tell people about what happened today and what's going to happen in the next few weeks and months, I'm sure there will be 500 people in the room. You know, we have 7,000 people in the community and only 200 of them are here. Next year I want to come back to a venue that is at least 5 times the size of this venue. So all the best, and I look forward to spending time with you today. Thank you.
Chandrasekhar Jha was a professor of operations management in my MBA. So I think that automatically came out when I spoke your name. Okay, thank you. A key priority for CFA Institute and CFA Society India is to support its members in career development while developing a competent talent pool for the investment management industry. We have a suite of resources to meet this objective. R.T. Porwal, Director Society Relations, and Sachin Nair, Manager, Client Relationship at CFA Institute, will now present these resources for you. And as they complete the session is an open floor for question and answers. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me at the back? Yes. Okay, I can't hear the good morning.
Good morning.
Jitendra said I was sleepy, so I decided to awaken myself and the audience here by being bright as a button. And I hope that you all are as bright as a button today. Firstly, thank you so much for having us here. As was mentioned by Monica, I am R.T. Porwal and I am the Director for Society Relations at CFA Institute, which means I am part of Vidhu's team. With me is Sachin Nair, my colleague, who is the Client Relations Manager and is responsible for speaking to the industry professionals, recruiters and employers on a regular basis. And what we are going to do here today is give you a glimpse of the resources that you have at your fingertips, provided by the Institute and Society to support your ambitions. I'm sure that this bunch of people who are sitting here are a bunch of extremely ambitious investment professionals, and that's exactly why you're in the room today. You want to change the paradigms of your career. You have ambitions of changing the paradigms of the industry, making it big, and I'm sure that you all aspire that one day you would be here on this dais and advising other professionals, other charter holders about how to go about their career, like some of the leaders from the industry and charter holders are going to do today. So let me introduce you to some of those little pieces of resources that you have. First step, what do you need to establish a mastery over your career? There are 3 aspects that we believe are part of that process of establishing a mastery over your career. First is mastery of technical skills. And that's exactly why you all started on the journey to become CFA charter holders. You worked hard to acquire technical skills. And while you are studying, or if you are already a member, you may be aware of how the industry's perception of you and your skills change with the acquisition of the charter or while you are studying. Being a candidate is an indication of the seriousness that you hold towards your career and towards your ambition of being a good investment professional. As a part of this extension, The continued education program, once you become a member, helps you to keep that technical knowledge updated and keep yourself relevant. And that's why there are plenty of CE resources available, made available to you by the Society and the Institute to keep your technical skills sharp. The second part is the mastery over soft skills. Soft skills are generally consist of two parts. One is interpersonal skills, which include managing communications with other people and managing other people. This would include influencing skills, communication skills, presentation skills, as well as the ability to adapt to different cultural backgrounds or if people from different backgrounds, especially if you're working with global cross-cultural teams. The self-management piece is extremely important. It's a part of those skills where you are able to manage your own self in difficult or challenging circumstances, which would mean stress management, it would mean managing your own time and efficiency, project management skills, etc. The ability to take a deep breath and meditate when everything around you is falling apart is a very important part of this skill. The third part is intentional career management. Having these skills is not just enough. As Vidhu mentioned, the world is gone where people helped you. You have to help yourself. And that journey begins when you are able to have a good assessment of yourself. Where do you stand right now? Where do you want to go? And how do I get there? Knowing that path very well is the first step towards achieving and reaching success in any part of your life. In all these three parts, CFA Institute has resources to support you. The ability of using these skills also changes depending on the stage of your career. Let's do a quick count here. How many of you are candidates with no work experience? It's a very large term. So most of you are in the early career stage. How many of you are candidates or members with 3 to 5 years of experience? Yeah, that's another large term. And how many of you believe that you are in your late career? Believe. It's the word. Okay, just a few of you. Irrespective, you still have a long way to go. There are many more steps ahead. And the level of skills that you utilize varies depending on which part of or which stage you are in. But irrespective of where you are, the ability and the need to enhance your skills do not change. You still need those skills, only the level of skills or the type of skill may vary. In the early career stage, for example, networking skills help you to get your career. In mid-career stage, those same networking skills help you to do your job well. If you are an analyst or it might help you to get industry knowledge, it might help you to acquire a mentor, it might help you to do that job switch that you so really want to do. As you move into later career stage, networking skills and influencing skills play a very important part in acquiring business, leading people and influencing the community. So at every stage in career, the impact that you make will vary according to the level of skills and the need of skills and the type of skills that you have. And that's why it's important that we keep enabling ourselves with these resources and skills that are there and available to us at our fingertips at every point in time in our career. There is no time where we would give up, or we can afford to give up for that matter. Having said that, let's now look at the tools that are available to you. On the CFA Institute website, there are a number of career tools. If you put them into two or three parts, one are career tools which help you to understand what is the industry perspective, how to go about getting a job, understanding what employers look for, insights from senior people, from industry leaders, not only locally but globally. The second part are career tools to enhance your CV or your resume, to get the best resume out. How do you reach out to the right employers? How do you manage your job search or your career searches? The third part is self-assessment tools. Self-assessment tools help you to understand that path, the pathway of where you are where you want to get and how to get there, which, as I mentioned, is the first step towards success. All these resources are available on cfainstitute.org, career resources. Let's look at what is there in terms of career advice. A host of training modules as well as webinars which talk about various areas of career management, whether it is career conversations, whether it is leadership resources, whether there are skills, how to go about finding the right job, how do you go about finding the right mentor. There are webinars, discussions with senior industry leaders, all available here in this part of career advice. The resume builder, the second part, the resume builder tools. These help you for self-assessment, to be able to assess your resume, to help you to build a better resume, build it by industry, and then help you to even edit that resume which is built by specifically to what job you are applying. So for example, if the job profile or the industry to which you are applying changes, you can actually go back to the resume builder and help yourself to customize your resume for that specific role or industry. Something that we sometimes fail to do. Many of us have this feeling or the ability to create a good resume, but we're not able to change them. We look at searching for jobs as a mass mailing exercise, whereas customization helps you to actually target the jobs that you really want to get. And this is where the resume builder and the self-assessment tool can be extremely useful to you. The other resume things include resume mailers. So if you actually send out emails to the people you want to reach out to with your resume, it helps you to track what is happening to your mails and also to track the companies that you have applied for with specific information about them, which might help you in your interview. The resume writing tips, as I mentioned, helps you to edit your resume after the resume assistant will help you to create it. Some of these signature series assessments are part of the self-assessment tools. They help you to understand what your career preferences are or could be. Are you on the right track? Are you really good for what you think you are? Or are you better at something that you don't know you are? Finding out where you stand is part of the self-assessment tool usage. You can use these tools to find out exactly where you stand and how to get where you want to get. This is our flagship piece. It is called Navigating Your Career. It's a document that is created and edited annually. This document is an excellent resource because it literally drafts out and documents the competencies required for various roles in the industry. It's literally a competency mapping exercise and tells you where exactly you need to build your competencies or what competencies are required to reach the stage where you want to reach. You will be hearing some bits of it in person from experts who will be part of the event today. But if you want to ever go back and refresh yourself, this tool is available on the website at your fingertips to go and do that, exactly that. And of course, the Career Resource Library is a simple tool where all of these are summarized. It's just one click away, and this is where all the resources are available and summarized in case you don't know how to get where you want to get or you find the CFA Institute website a maze. Please remember this URL. If you log in here, you will be able to see all these resources in one screen. This is available to candidates as well as members. You just need to log in and it's there for you. So please utilize these resources. They are at your fingertips. If you are not utilizing them, then you are losing out on the value of the CFA charter, the value of CFA's candidature, CFA program candidature. You're losing out on a large piece of information, resources, and a large piece of return on the investment that you have made in terms of going through the CFA program. This is all about the Institute resources. There is more to come. This part, the next part, is how CFA Society India has put up together a lot many more tools for you to help you in your career success. And Sachin is going to take over and share those parts. Thank you.
Ahead and talking more about what the society does in its capacity in India to get some of these tools or make it relevant to the local audience over here and provide to all of you over here. As Jitendra mentioned at the start of the conference, that today we will be officially launching the India Career Center. How many of you in the room have heard about the India Career Center? Just a show of hands. There's a good number of people. And how many of you have your profiles on the India Career Center? There's a few hands still up there. That's good. I'd like, happy to see that. Over the next few slides, I'll talk a bit more in detail for the rest of the audience as well as for those who are already there on what the Career Center is, what's the idea behind it, and why we need all of you in this room and the other community members to support its growth. So from the society perspective, there are a lot of activities that the society does. The India Career Center is one of the efforts that the society has worked closely with CFA Institute to get it for its member and community over here. Apart from that, there are about 100 odd live events conducted every year across all its 8 chapters, including some marquee events like today, this Financial Talent Summit. This is the second one. The first one held last year in Mumbai was a roaring success. So based on that, Delhi chapter had shown keen interest to get this event to Delhi as well. We have the India Investment Conference, which is a day-long event happening in Mumbai in January every year. So that's another marquee event. If you were to travel to Mumbai in January, or there for work or otherwise, I will highly recommend that you take time out from your schedule to make it to the event. Some of the members over here attended an event and you can hear from them on what the value of attending that event. Beyond that, as I mentioned, there are other events also happening. There are content writing workshops we do. There's valuation workshop that the society does. So all these events and workshops the society is getting to you as part of learning and networking opportunities. There are speaker series which happens from time to time. And it's not just for those people who are organizing, it's for all of you. So we highly encourage that you come down to some of these events and make sure that you gain a lot out of this. Scholarships. The CFA Society in India is one of the societies which awards the highest number of scholarships for its program candidates. Last year there were about 2,400 applications for scholarship from India, and they have awarded about 700 scholarships. So that's a very high percentage, high ratio of scholarships that the society offers as part of its support. Last but not least, India Career Guide. Has anyone in the room know about the India Career Guide? Have you got an opportunity to see it? Just a show of hands once again. Alright. So I will highly recommend that you go on to the website, go on to the CFA Society website or the Career Center, the India Career Center, and access this career guide. Now, what is a career guide? So we institute has the global career guide which we release from on a regular basis. But we understand that whatever we feature over here is from a wide global perspective, and it may or may not be relevant in the Indian context. So society at its end had done a lot of effort to release an India version of the career guide in 2016. So for all those program candidates who are at the early stage in your career or those who are at a mid stage in your career, you will get to understand from different people, senior charter holders over here, some of them who are there in the room today over here, on their own journey on how they went about building their career. So we are talking about a number of industries. We talk about buy side, sell side. We talk about research. We talk about global financial institutions. We talk about even the wealth management industry over here. And beyond just talking about their experience, RT was mentioning about some of the career, soft skills and business skills that is required. So the career guide again talks about some of the skills that is looked out by clients when they look at candidates like all of us in the room over here. So moving on, as I said, today is officially the launch of India Career Center in Delhi. So I'm happy to see that many of you have heard or your profiles are already there in this Career Center. So what's the idea behind the Career Center? So Career Center is based on the feedback that we had received from all of you in the audience or from the wider member community in India, for whom career opportunities, getting an access to career opportunities, what is there in the industry, what is there in India, is one of the feedback that we continuously collected. And based on that, the institute had gone ahead and launched the Global Career Center. But to ensure that it's very relevant, very useful for those of you in India also, CFA Society India had worked closely with us to launch the India version of the Career Center. So the India version of the Career Center was recently launched. I'm happy to say there are some of you already there on this portal. At present, there are about 700 live resumes. 700 people who have posted their profile on the Career Center. But the community is much bigger than that. So for us to grow this Career Center into one of the successful tools for you as an audience over here, we need more support from you. So post this conference, I would love to see that the number of resumes has gone up from 100, about 100, 200 from where they are right now. See, employers, as Aarti mentioned, I go and talk to clients, I go and talk to employers also as part of one of my roles. So for them, this is just one medium. If they don't see a lot of resumes or good quality resumes on this side, they might not end up using this or posting jobs over here. And as they are at an early stage over here, the success for this site depends on how many of you are active on this, which will in turn bring the employers also onto the site. It's free of cost. You do not have to pay any charge to build your profile over here. Likewise, for employers in India, there's no cost attached for them to post jobs onto this site. So this is what we had started off. What is there as part of the Career Center now? When you go onto a site, the site is india.careers.cfainstitute.org. This is the dashboard you will see. You can quickly do some searches of the jobs that are on the site based on function, based on some keywords, based on your city as well, right? Or there are other career news and advances that are shown over here. So the career guide which I was talking of a brief while back, that is there right on the dashboard over here. So you can access that from here as well. Then there are other webinars and tools that are relevant from the local market as well, which is there. So just not a job opportunity, but have a look at what the other career management webinars that we post over here. Last but not the least, if you're interested in looking at what jobs are there in the global market as well, you can go and find the global jobs which will take you to the Global Career Center as well. So it's not just restricted to India, you can have a look at what's there in the global context as well. So the second tab in that, when you're looking for finding a job in the Career Center, when you click on that, it will show up all the jobs which are there right now live from India at this point of time. As I said, it's at an early stage, so there might be not a number of jobs over there, but this is growing up fast. You will see a lot of employers now starting to use this regularly. And as and when they see a lot of interest, a lot of candidates who are applying to them, they will be more than happy to start posting more and more jobs onto the site. So it's kind of like a chicken and egg story over here. We need the resumes and we need the employees. So both will come simultaneously and this will grow. I was just looking at what is there in Delhi. At this point, there was one job which recently was posted for Delhi. And this is from CDPQ, an institutional investor based in Quebec, Canada. I just had to Google where is its office over there. It's right across the road in Walmart. So this is one I think it's a mid-level position which was posted from Delhi for looking for a CFA candidate, charter holder rather. You can search jobs by the recruiters who are there on the site. So some of the recruiters we have listed over here. And the login is the same as your CFA Institute login. There's no different login. So the same login credentials work over here. Once you go onto the site, once you log into a CFA Institute profile, login access, you can create your own profile. You can download your resume and a cover letter onto the Career Center over here and start applying for jobs as and when you come across some of them. There's another option of allowing recruiters to see your profile. Okay, what does this do? You can keep your profile hidden as well. But then if there's an employer who's looking for a resume directly on the website, he might not see your profile over there. It's only when you apply to a profile that they come to know about it. So the option of keeping your profile live or no is up to you. I will recommend it that you keep it live if you're actively looking out for a job. Of course, you can restrict some of the recruiters or some of the companies, maybe the one which you're working on, from in the list over there where they don't see you are there. That's what you're looking at. You can also filter a job, you can create job alerts as well. Now, if and when there's a job posted, you'll get a notification on your email ID of the jobs that's relevant to you. So job alert can be created through the filter job applications over there. Select the various criteria. What are you looking at? It is job function or the industry sector you are looking at. Or from some of the relevant jobs, while you're searching for it, you say, okay, this so-and-so job is very interesting for me. There's a tab over there where it mentions email me similar jobs like this as and when it's posted. So use this job alert feature regularly. There are about 5 job alerts that you can create for your profile. And you can manage it as and when you go along. Sorry. I'd like to leave with 3 points over here. See, there are a lot of tools which Aarti talked about or I have talked about which Institute and Society works on. We would like to hear back feedbacks from all of you in the room on what's working, what's not working for you. So based on that, we will try to customize some of these tools that we are building. Take advantage of the networking opportunities. Events like this are a very good source of learning also as well as networking. In fact, in this event, take advantage of the coffee break that you have or the networking lunch session that is planned later on to interact with some of your colleagues over here or the senior professionals who have come down over here. Make sure you can attend as many events as possible which is organized by the chapter over here as well. And last but not the least, this is all that we can do from the Institute and Society front where we get you the resources, where we get you the events. But planning your career and managing it ultimately is in your hand. So success is all up in your hand. All in all, I highly recommend that pick up some of this and start working on that. Thanks everyone. We are open for some questions. We have another 5 minutes left. So if there are any questions, we are happy to take that.
CFAs and CFA candidates in the investment industry in India. So, I see a lot of openings or job descriptions which are entirely into investment industry, analysis of investments, and they are only asking for CAs, not CFAs.
Today's day you will hear a lot of people speaking here and you will have more clarity. With my limited knowledge, what I can tell you is while there are still, as I agree with you, many roles where we still need to establish the credentials of the CFA program and get the employers to understand the competencies that we bring to the table, the level of understanding is increasing in the employer community. And we are putting in more resources behind getting employers to know more about the competencies that charter holders bring to the table across all these job areas. The CFA Institute has conducted or launched a global advertising campaign, a brand campaign to build recognition for the brand globally. India is a very large part of that advertising campaign and has benefited a lot in terms of awareness because of that. The second part is that Sachin and my team, there are people in our team who work 24/7 to meet employers to build recognition for the CFA program amongst the industry. But we are a motley team. The society, as you can see, is putting in a lot of resources. The volunteers who are charter holders who have full-time day jobs engage at every scenario and every opportunity with potential employers to ensure that recognition for the program increases and we are able to deliver and communicate the competencies. But we all are a motley crowd. The real representation, the real brand ambassadors are all the 2,000 members and all the candidates that are there in the country. If each one of us can speak to employers and demonstrate the competencies that we bring to the table for these roles, then there is definitely going to be an increase in the recognition and the understanding of those competencies by employers. So my advice to you is, if you see a role where you think that you have the competencies because of what you have studied through the CFA program, but they do not advertise it for CFA program or CFA candidates or members, please go ahead and apply for it. Go get to the interview stage, and if you demonstrate your competencies, then they will start hiring charter holders for that position in the future.
Yeah, so my question is that, we already have a lot of online job portals where, you can apply, upload your CV, and, you keep getting mails from them on a regular basis. But then we see that there are a lot of jobs that are not relevant for us, and, so I want to ask that, how does the, CFA Institute job portal differentiate from the other job portals that are already there? And how do you ensure that the quality of jobs that are posted, on your portal is good? And how do you, how will you ensure that there are no random jobs that are not, of good quality posted for us? Yeah.
Alright. So very good question. And I quite agree that there are a number of other platforms also available for posting jobs or looking out for a job. What this effort we are trying to do is making it an exclusive platform. So if any employer is looking out for a CFA candidate or a charter holder, they don't need to search on other platforms, the other number of other platforms, because that's a mix of different set of skill set of professionals who are posting their job over there. This portal it's exclusive for this particular community. So the clients are reaching out to us as part of our discussion. Okay, you are talking about 2,000 members, you're talking about 20,000 candidates. Can I get access to some of this network? So this is where we want to redirect to them. This is the community that we are building up. We want to hire from this community, post jobs on this platform. The second part of your question was on the relevance and the quality of the jobs that come into it. I agree, at the early stage, we might not be in complete control of the quality which might come across, right? But as and when we are starting to grow on to this, employers are we are making it sure that employers understand what the skill set CFA candidate or charter holder carries, and matching that, we are trying to ensure that they post a profile which is relevant to the audience that sits on this platform. So we are trying to do both simultaneously with that. And I'm sure over a period of time, this will continue to grow and become a success for all of us over here.
And one feature on the site as well is that you can customize the kind of job alerts or job positions that you see. So the site has the ability, and you can go there and customize exactly what you want to look at. You can customize it like other job sites also do offer that. You can customize it on the basis of location, level, or specific industry segment, or even customize it on the basis of companies that you are looking at. So that helps you to narrow down your search further. And the rest, as Sachin said, these jobs are specifically for CFA candidates and charter holders only. That itself filters out jobs to a great extent to be relevant to your competencies.
I think we'll take one last question, but because we are there later in the day as well, we're more than happy to take questions offline as well.
I just want to ask, how many successful placements have happened till now using this website?
So the website is fairly new right now, right? It's a month old. So we cannot gauge the success when it's just a month old. The success will come over a period of time, I'm sure. Right? But there are employees who are coming on, reposting different requirements that they have internally. So you will start seeing success building up.
I think the anecdotal evidence we have is that organizations which have advertised have come back. And these are seriously large organizations, very relevant to the industry. And they have come back with more positions to advertise, and they intend to come back with many more. What would be discouraging to them, as Sachin pointed out in the presentation, is if they do not get enough applications from this. So that's why we really need to have more applications up there and job profiles of yours up there for them to be able to filter and see. One anecdotal evidence that I have or a story is that I was in the Charter Award ceremony in Hyderabad, and somebody came up to me and said that are moving to Bangalore because they got this job at Goldman Sachs, which was advertised on the Career Center last month. So people have already started utilizing the resource and have started getting jobs from the positions here, even though it's only a month old. That's quite a bit of an achievement for a month old baby.
All right, thanks everyone.
Sorry, we don't have time.
We don't have time, we are running out of time. And wish you all the success in your careers. We are there through the day to take any questions offline as well. Thank you everyone.
We don't want to hog all the timeline because other people will be able to answer your questions as well.
Thank you so much, Aarti and Sachin. And it is in fact great to know that there are so many career services being provided by the CFA Institute and the CFA Society. And I think good use of it will be quite helpful for all of us. And once people start participating and we create a pool, it will provide a number of opportunities to all the members, and even the candidates it can be encouraging for the candidates as well to use these career resources. I would like to inform you that all the members who are participating in this event will also be provided 4.5 CE credits in their own CE credit requirement as a result of participation in this